Welcome back, this is the rig rundown of Jason Newsted, formerly of Metallica. In this episode, we shine a light into his corner of the bass world. Jason joined Metallica in the midst of the Damage Inc. tour after the unexpected death of Cliff Burton. He auditioned using a DIY Warmoth bass which he put together himself and had a BC Rich Deluxe Eagle as backup. His first show with Metallica was on the 8th of November 1986 using an ESP Surveyor, which is their take on a Fender Precision Jazz. The newly formed Metallica went to the studio to record Garage Days Revisited EP. The same bass is seen again on the front of the album cover. This EP was recorded in anticipation of the Monsters of Rock Festival in 1987. Jason was seen on stage using an early ESP 5-string Horizon with JJ pickup configuration. James and Kirk were endorsed by ESP and presumably this deal was extended to Jason as well, hence the use of the Horizon. The following year in 1988, recording for And Justice for All began. Recording engineer Flemming Rasmussen commented in an issue of Sound on Sound that Jason was using a 5-string wall bass. With that came Metallica's first video, One, where we see Jason playing the wall 5-string. Early in the Damage Justice tour, we see Jason playing 4 and 5-string walls. But towards the end of the tour, he moved on to Alembic basses. This is evident on the Binge and Purge DVD at the Seattle show, dated August 1989. Jason has a history with Alembic that gave way to a lot of experimenting. He had basses made to address many issues that he found whilst he played. According to Alembic, he had at least 13 basses, constructed with custom options, ranging from different wood types, different electronics, or changing the contour of the body. He used the following models to experiment with. A 4-string Persuader, which was similar to Cliff Burton's. He then used a spoiler. Following that, an Ellen 5-string, which had the Jazz Precision Jazz pickup configuration. Finally, a Europa, which came in 4, 5 and 6-string versions. The Alembic basses were played live between 1989 and 1992, which spans the length of the Black Album's Wherever We Roam tour, which we'll touch on in a minute. Jason's admiration of these basses was love at first sight, stating that, "I always thought the Alembics were incredible. As soon as I could afford one, I tried it and that was it." He also stated how the factory was nearby so he could talk face to face with the luthiers, voicing his concerns. A year later, in October 1990, recording for the Black Album began. Contrary to the previous tour, Jason primarily used a 1981 Spector NS2 to record with. There is documentation of Jason using a Music Man Stingray, a Gibson Thunderbird, and up to 25 other different basses to record different parts. It's uncertain if all of these sounds were kept in the final mix. Back on the road, he continued to use the Alembic basses already mentioned, and also rare Stuart Spector designed basses that introduced a signature Jason Newsted model. The Black Album era had 5 tour legs, starting from 1992 and ending in 1995, with the recording of Load and Reload in 1996 and 97 respectively. In an interview with Bass Player magazine 1996, Jason again stated he was using the NS2 and other instruments to record with. One of those instruments was a 1958 Fender Precision bass. The resulting Poor Touring Me tour then showed Jason back on stage with a new edition of Sadowsky basses. In the final act of Jason and Metallica, you will see countless Sadowsky basses of different colours and varieties. By my count, there are at least 20 we've seen, and we have a full list for you down below in the comments. Many of these basses are seen on the 1997 DVD Cunning Stunts. Whilst he has a rather large collection of these basses, it typically boils down to either a 4 or a 5-string bass with a JJ or PJ configuration. Jason has stated in interviews he likes these basses because they sound like a turbo Fender. The tone sounds just like his 58P bass with a little more juice. Not only this, Sadowskys are actually light basses, and one of the reasons why he bought so many. Carrying heavy Alembic basses were finally taking a toll on his shoulder. His original order in 1996 consisted of 4 4-strings and 3 5-strings. An additional requirement of these basses were that they were completely water and sweat proof. The Sadowsky basses were used to record Garage Inc. and seen on the live show Symphony of Metallica in 1999. In May 2000, Metallica released the single I Disappear, and that September, Jason decided to leave the band after the filming of Classic Album's The Black Album. Jason has used mostly Ampeg heads and cabinets throughout Metallica. On the early tours, he used an original 1974 SVT head. This was plugged into a 1x15 Ampeg speaker with a Mesa Boogie 4x12 on top. In later years, his amplifiers were stored away in a flight case off stage. In that case, he had 2 rack-mounted Ampeg SVT2s and 1 for backup. These go on to power 2 Ampeg 8x10 cabinets. His recording setup had subtle changes over the years and included the use of a few other Ampeg heads, such as a 1970s VB4 and SVT AVs. Jason has also expressed how he uses rooms of different sizes and a mixture of Marshall amplifiers to change the depth of the recording. A lot of effects have come and gone through Jason's rig, mostly due to new upgrades being available. So who are the main ones that you should know? The first effect that should come to mind for any Cliff or Jason fan is the Morley Power Wah Fuzz pedal. This is predominantly used for the intro on For Whom the Bell Tolls and other bass solo segments. The fuzz is usually paired up with an additional overdrive or distortion type sound, where Jason uses a Sands Tech 21 Bass DI. It gives the signal a little more boost and some grit. This was later upgraded to the XXL, which has been said to have even more grit. When recording the Load and Reload albums, he used a mixture of the following: a bass flanger BF2, a Boss Chorus CE1, an MXR phaser, and a Big Muff Pi. Jason's strings have always been made by Labella, sometimes called hard rocking steels, but commonly known as stainless steel round wounds, designed to be a very flexible string but with a lot more tension than others. Jason swapped the pickups from his original basses in the Warmouth and the BC Rich with an EMG set, citing EMG as a standard fundamental for a metal sound. Jason has also changed some of the stock pickups in his Sadowskys with the same EMG set. Jason is an avid collector of basses, and unfortunately we couldn't cover everything he owns. We can, however, offer you a full list of what he uses during Metallica. That you can find in a link down below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, as it really helps the channel to grow and I appreciate your support. I'll see you on the next Know Your Bass Player, where we conclude our first series. After that, we open the floor up to viewer suggestions. So get yours in now because the list is starting to grow. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.